This is Dance Studio 411, where we answer your real-life questions about your toughest studio life predicaments. Parent problems, teacher turnover, student challenges, policy dilemmas, and so much more. Let's talk about what's keeping you awake at night and what you can do about it. Here are your hosts, Suzanne Blake Garrity and Jill Tirone.
Welcome to this episode of our podcast. I'm so excited to be here. I'm Jill Tirone. I'm here with Taylor Hiller today. Taylor is on the Revolution team. She's our channel brand manager. But beyond that, she is a brilliant choreographer. And today we're talking all about recital choreography success. And Taylor, welcome to the show. You have this formula that you do and you put together, and it's just absolutely brilliant. So welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So on the Revolution side, I'm the channel brand manager, which means that I make sure that all of our communications are timely and seasonal, right? Because we know that even though your recital is in June, you're talking about recital the June before, right? Or that your winter performance is in December, but you're really shopping those costumes and doing the choreography in June and August, June through August. And so my job is to make sure that our catalogs, our emails, and all of our customer events serve our customers. And I'm also a customer. I am a dance teacher. I have been teaching for 20 years, and I absolutely love being in the classroom. And recreational kids is my passion. I love the journey of from the beginning of the year to the end, seeing their growth and development, but even just those light bulb moments that happen day to day. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about how to make successful choreography. And we're actually going to start with the classroom at the beginning of the year, right? We're going to jump right in.
Let's jump right in. I'm so glad you're just taking charge and jumping right in, because you and I both share that special love for those recreational students, especially. That's my jam as well. And I think that's why you and I get along so well. This is going to be so great. Even though we're on a podcast and we're doing audio, everybody can find our resources and come on over to our membership, because we're going to elaborate further in this brilliant training that you did for our members. So Taylor, why don't you dive right in, because you have so many great nuggets that we can share today with our podcast audience.
Absolutely. So before we can choreograph, before we can even teach, we have to know what the goals and expectations are. And a lot of times these three words, curriculum, syllabus, and lesson plan, get thrown around. And people oftentimes think they're interchangeable, but we're going to actually do some clarification so that you understand how that works in your studio. So a curriculum is your overall dance education plan. You already have this in place because you have classes that are in different levels. This is the most broad and most comprehensive. It overarches your goals, objectives, and structures of your full dance program. So that means they go to ballet 1, then they go to ballet 2. Then they can add pre-point once they've advanced to ballet 3, and then they can advance to point, right? It's the step-by-step, how do we progress through a program? Then we have our syllabus that breaks the curriculum down into specific levels, and it tells us what will be covered within that level. So the exact skills that those dancers are going to be working on. And then we have our lesson plans. This is the day-to-day neat details of what are we doing? How long are we doing that for? What music are we doing it to? What counts does it go to? Right? So we have our curriculum and our syllabus and our lesson plans. And if you don't have a syllabus or lesson plans in place, now is the best time to add them, right? This makes sure that all of your classes are getting the same experience. So if I'm in a Jazz 1 class on Tuesday and someone else teaches Jazz 1 on Thursday, we're teaching the same information, right? We might be doing different combinations across the floor to different music, but our goals and our objectives for that level are the same. And so organization, it truly matters. Doesn't matter what your system is, but you need to have one. If you like to use pen and paper, go for it. If you're a digital girl like me, using Google Sheets, Dropbox, Band, all of that, great. If you like to just have notes on your phone in your notes app, right? And you like to do videos, go for it. But this organization allows you to share within your studio with different teachers. Let's say you have to be out tonight and it's an emergency situation. You had no time to prep lesson plans for your sub. If you have all of this in a hub location, you've got your music, your playlist that you go to every week for that class. You've got the skills that they've been working on and all of that. And you've got their recital dance going, and you've got your template that you can hand off. It's already all there. You did all the work already. So there's options like Google Sheets, Band, all of that. But the biggest thing that I have to say to teachers and studio owners is to make sure that you arrive prepared. We preach this to our students all the time, Miss Jill. Like, I know that when you teach ballet, you're like, arrive with your hair in a bun when you come in the door, right? We ask our dancers to be prepared. And so we as teachers also need to be prepared. Now let's look at some math. A 1-hour class, we get those dancers for 0.6% of their week. That is not a lot of time. That is 99.4% of their week that is spent outside of that dance class. So we need to be as efficient and productive in that tiny little bit of space that we get with these kids. This is not a place, right? Especially these rec kids. It's not a place to experiment or change choreography. It's not the place to be like, what did we do last week, right? That is your job to show up so that you have personal clarity and confidence in class, and there's no wasted time, right? Our parents are getting what they paid for, a dance education, and at the end of that day, we have made progress with those kids. So here's a little mantra that we can live by in terms of preparedness. Class efficiency equals performance proficiency. The more efficient we are with our class time, the more proficient our performance will be. Our dancers will be confident, they will be prepared, and next year, because of that, their parents are going to sign them up for 3 times as many dance classes. We're going to improve our retention rate because we saw the improvement in our kids, and the final product was phenomenal, right? So once we have all of that in place, then we can talk about choreography. So I am a music first person. Jill, what do you like to do?
I usually start with the movement. It depends on if I have a song in my head and something that I'm picturing. But for me, I'm actually the movement person first, and you're the music first person.
Yeah, and some people choose their costume first and they get inspired from the costume and then create a story around that. So whatever your inspiration is, from there you have to have a choreographic process. So let's talk through this process that I've honed over 20 years. This is what works for me because I'm the type of teacher, if I walk into a room and they're like, hey, you're teaching tonight, surprise. And I'm like, great, okay, I got this, but I'm going to feel anxious about that. I like to be fully prepared when I walk in the door. I know who's standing on, like who's in what formation. I know what counts we're doing on the peel off. I like to feel like I've got it all together. So here's the process. First, we have to make the time to do the work. I'm going to say that again. We have to make the time to do the work, and we're going to block that into our schedule. I like to work on my choreography at night when I get out of that class. So I'm prepping for the next week that night. Jill, you and I have talked about this. You're a morning person. You like to wake up and get those ideas when they're fresh in your head and your energy is fresh in the morning. So whatever your process is, it's not conducive to the success of our students if we walk into the room and decide on the spot what we're doing. We can kind of relay this to, what if you just went to a restaurant and the chef was like, what are we going to cook today? That's not your job as the customer to dictate that and to sit there and watch the cook invent what they're going to prepare, right? So again, it's your dancer shouldn't be doing the same. Your dancer shouldn't be sitting there watching you be creative. That is work you should have done ahead of time, right? And again, that makes our parents and our dancers feel like their investment has been worth it, right? They're getting the most out of their classes. So next, we talked about this, having that syllabus in place and the goals and expectations of the class. How are we expected to choreograph if we don't know what road we're on, right? How are we going to get to a destination if we don't know the directions to that destination? After that, we get into the fun. We can choose our music, costume, vibe, and then you can add style to it. So I have been in some years where I'm like, okay, I have 6 baby classes. How am I going to make them all unique? I'm going to add style to them. Okay, this one, they're going to be sailors, and we're going to use some vernacular movements or some inspired movements that a sailor might do. Oh, a salute. Oh, okay, I've got this, right? And so that's going to add the uniqueness to make all of my dances unique. So it takes them out of that syllabus phase and turns it into real choreography when I add that interest. Then from there, I outline my music. It's important to note that I mean your edited music, your fully edited music, the final version. And we do this before we choreograph and outline it. So this outline, it is a guide, it is your roadmap of how your dance progresses from beginning to end. And we're going to go through, we're going to call out, ooh, every time I listen to that music, I hear that that's a transition step. I'm going to add that milestone. Ooh, I hear that this says this. So if it says twist and turn, I'm going to add a pirouette there because that's a musical cue for my dancers. So I'm going to outline the dance and I'm going to make an incredible spreadsheet type version of choreography. So if you're interested in learning this process step by step, you can do the choreography formula template. You can take that training and we can dive into this more and the details. You can get my template of how I actually plug in where movement goes and where choreographic milestones like a peel off are going to hit before I even choreograph a single count of choreography. So I really hope that this helps you become organized and make your classes as efficient as possible. That way, we have performance proficiency.
That's so good, Taylor. Thank you so much. We're going to end right there. I couldn't have choreographed this podcast or that ending any better. That was perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jill.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Dance Studio 411. Visit us online at dancestudio411.com for more great resources and to submit a question for a future episode. Our number one goal is to help you build a successful dance studio business and keep your passion for dance alive.